Hello and welcome to Everyday Matters on Sangat Television. This is a live weekly show that's running every Tuesday 6 till 7 p.m. We talk about the subjects and the issues that the Sikhs and the Punjabi culture normally brush under the carpet and they hide behind. So stuff such as marriages, divorce, the caste system which still unfortunately exists, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, abuse in the family, abuse of elders, for example, child relationships, etc., and looking after children. So we talk about them sort of subjects that we don't normally go over. And today, we've got two guests in at the moment. Also, we've got Balvir here called Dylan, who's normally my guest with me all the time on the show. And we've got Meena Yogi, is it?
Jogia.
Jogia. And you're a marriage relationship counsellor, yeah?
I am, yes.
So today we're talking about stuff such as what makes a good relationships and at the worst situation when you actually have to go through divorce, how that, can impact on the sort of counselling services that are on offer, and the fact that how there's so many counselling services and they don't particularly offer support for the culture that we live in. For example, Sikh, Punjabi, Hindu, or whichever Asian community, they've all got the same sort of background in that sort of different sort of elements into our communities. So can I ask you first, what you're saying, what really is a good relationship in your eyes? Because obviously you do counselling and you see the bads and the good relationships come into.
For me, first thing, a good relationship is based on love, trust, and respect. If those three things are present in any relationship, it could work. So it's all about communication, knowing what the expectations are from each other. It's about commitment. It's moving forward. It's about what keeps our love growing and what keeps us together.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, since you're talking about this, you're saying you're the three things that you've just mentioned there.
Love, respect, and trust.
Yeah, but what happens if you've got two people coming in, one side is perfectly fine, she's got all that in there, and the other side hasn't got that, the man or the woman? How do you counsel someone who's, for example, I know there's people in the Sikh community saying, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't that, he's bad, he's out, he's this and he's that. First of all, how do you get them in? Because the man or the woman's going to have to come to counselling.
Yeah.
Secondly, how's she going to, or he's going to change when he's already got them issues with him or her?
Okay, I always say that marriage is 100% commitment, yeah? And it's 50-50% from both the sides, yeah? So you cannot change a person, but you can change yourself. So it depends on how important the marriage is to you. How do you want to change to keep the marriage going? I mean, I totally understand. You'll tell me that if one person doesn't want to change, then they
no, it's not one person. Sometimes one person can't change. They've been brought up that way. You won't see this maybe in the English communities or other communities, but in our communities, sometimes a man or a woman that's getting married has got that mentality that they're better than everyone else, or they've got that issue. They've got underlying issues before they get married. And unfortunately, we have things called arranged marriages in our community, where you can end up marrying someone who's completely psycho or completely different to what you thought was going to be your lifelong partner, just on the basis of a fake meeting. So what do you do in that situation when you've got that person coming there to you and you're trying to resolve and bring this relationship together if you're 50-50?
Okay, so it's not up to the counsellor to make the marriage work, okay?
Yeah.
It's the individual who want it to work. Now, if the people come in, they say, okay, we want this to work.
Yep.
There is help out there. Okay. So it needs to be sort of a two-way communication. You can't say, come in, let's make this work for us.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's there's a difference between arranged marriage and a forced marriage as well.
Okay.
Okay.
What is the difference in your eyes then?
A forced marriage, you don't have a consent. You haven't seen the partner. You are sort of, because of our culture, our tradition, I think the adults organize it and you're forced into it.
And forced marriage are illegal.
They are
they're
illegal.
illegal. But would you say, because you're saying you're forced and arranged, would you say, because thankfully my family are not like that, and so when you're even going to get an arranged marriage, I can't see anyone in my household or any relatives that would force anyone to do that. But what happens if you've got a man or a girl, a boy or a woman that's going to say, oh, they're feeling so much pressure from uncles and aunties and godfathers, you behind anywhere, what's happening here, we keep looking and stuff like that. Then maybe isn't that sort of the pressure that can be forcing someone into it? Although you're saying they go for arranged marriage, it could also be forced because someone will say, I give up, I'll accept this.
Yeah, so when they give up, there is an acceptance there, yeah?
Yeah.
So they're accepting to get married.
Yep.
So if they're accepting to get married, then it's their duty to make the marriage work.
Okay.
They've taken the vows.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the difference is.
Yep.
So if you're forced into a marriage, you don't accept it, but you just go along. So from day one, there's going to be a breakdown, isn't there?
Yep.
So it's like, then
do you see a lot of that when you come in, that someone said, oh, you've got married, and you can see the other partners there, and you can see that there's complete clash of people, and one didn't sort of want to get married and one does want to get married in your situation? And how do you try to help that other person come out and come into the relationship?
Okay, so I always say counseling is not only about staying together, it's also about mutually separating as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's really good you said that as well.
Yeah,
because
it's not, there are options in life, okay?
Yeah.
So if it's not working, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't ruin two lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's not working, you go for counseling and you look at, can we make this work?
Yeah.
Is it impossible?
Mm-hmm.
If there is a goal there, if there is a marriage there, and you say, okay, we want this to work, our families are involved, we need to do something about it. But again, I'm repeating,
Yeah.
it's two-sided, okay?
Yeah.
If one person says, I want this marriage to work, and the other one says, no, I'm looking for the door or out, it doesn't work. So it's like, it's commitment. I mean, I do have people coming in, and they'll come for, okay, what do we do? How do we do this? And the first thing I'll say, you can't change him or you can't change her. Nobody wants to change.
And you're living a life you want to spend.
So the
Everybody
only
wants-
person you can change is yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's the only area of control you have. And I think it's degrees of change you want to actually implement.
And also, why would you change?
Yes.
Okay? The only time you change if you get something out of it. Okay? So if you...
So is there a concept of a reward system?
Not
What
a
is the
reward
reward
system.
or...
It wouldn't be a reward. If you change yourself, okay, I mean, I'll give you a typical example, okay? So there's a married couple there, and the one person who comes from work says, okay, I enjoy a cup of tea, yeah? And expects the wife to make a cup of tea, okay? Now, this is a simple example, okay? Now, there is that thing like, why should I make a cup of tea?
Yeah, but why?
Okay?
Yeah,
Why should I do
Yeah,
it?
well, why should
But
you?
the
Yeah.
thing is, if she decided, I'll make a cup of tea, he's in a better mood. Now that reflects on the relationship.
See, there's a difference
He
in you
has
saying
done
that,
something,
but then what about that and abuse? You don't want it to carry on to the point of abuse of women or abuse of the...
but that's a completely different thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? This is like working towards the marriage, like expectancies, like I'm just sort of, I'm doing little there, then he'll do little there.
Yeah.
And both of start doing little, and you're already there.
I think also there's a degree of what the expectations are. It's not sometimes within an Asian marriage, it's the expectations not just of the husband and wife, it's the expectations of a wider community or the wider family. And if you don't fit into that scenario of what looks like or what is perceived as a good daughter-in-law or a good son-in-law, things tend to go on a slippery slope. But I think, from what you're saying, for me, I think it's very, very important that when you do go into any relationship, I know in many different faiths, like for instance the Jewish community, they actually make young people go through programmed courses in order to understand the real commitment that you have to give in a marriage before they allow them to marry.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And whereas in a, I don't know, within our Sikh community, there's this concept of it is taken as read that you will get married at some point. Yeah, and generally speaking, I know we're sort of saying people have love marriages, arranged marriages. Majority of the time, arranged marriages are working out better than some of the love marriages, because as soon as, for instance, they might have had a love marriage and been going out with each other for 3 or 4 years, and the key thing is that you're with them when they're in a good mood, and then they go and you don't see the whole person. And when you get married, you see all the warts and all, and you sort of think, oh my God, what the hell am I let myself into? Yeah, and that's the key thing, is that in an arranged marriage, this is from some people who have spoken to arranged and who are love marriages, they say you actually have a higher level of tolerance. and also you're actually learning about each other. You become friends before you actually become more husband and wife or have a formal relationship.
Yes.
So I think those are the kind of stepping stones. Yeah. Otherwise, it just the romantic fizzles out, and you sort of
Yeah.
think, well, you don't even have a relationship because you're not communicating. I find it quite interesting what Relate was saying as to, we were saying what is a good marriage, but why do people venture into divorce? Because divorce is not the easiest of options, is it, really?
And it's the last option, really.
It's the last option.
What I was going to say is, I forgot to say you as well. This is a dialing show. So if you can please call in, it's 0121 516 2828, 0121 516 2828, and we're talking about relationships and marriage. So Hannah, it's in English, and Punjabi च भी जे तुसी phone करना, it's 0121 516 2828, and for them Punjabi च we will respond, Hannah, and we'll go through all the aspects as well, because it's not just for the English viewers that are going to say that, it's also older generation that's seeing these issues with their youngsters, their daughters and their sons, and saying this compromise. We were just on about the Relate and what you're saying, that divorce is the last option. And it's good, because I was speaking to you, because lots of counsellors, and it's not even counsellors, lots of aunties and what have you, or uncles and what have you, will say you can't get divorced. It's that sort of thing, that it's a taboo subject.
It's a taboo, yeah.
It's a really, but then sometimes, like you think, two people, you can't destroy two souls. Two
No,
people
you can't.
have got to realise that when one person can't change, the other person, you can't change each other's characters. That's the way they were. And I like the way you're saying you think arranged marriages are more successful.
Because you actually put an extra 100% in to make it work.
But then in English culture, you'd get couples that will live together for a few years, which wouldn't be possible in our culture. But you'll get that.
But that's happening now anyway.
Are you finding more and more people that are fine living
people
together?
are living together now. Yeah.
And do you think with that sort of scenario, you're almost married before you've actually done the real
That's right,
ceremony? Do you think that's a better way forward as well? Because you will see not just the good side, but the bad side of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, people are living together, but I think once they get married, things still change.
Yep.
Till they're married, they have got, then option is open, and they are in relationship, living together. The commitment is different as well.
It is different,
it
because
is different.
Coming from the scenario, because our neighbours from where we used to live before, when they actually both couples lived together, had professional jobs, they were very happy, they had their own life, they were together as well, etc. And then the minute they got married, things became difficult.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, well, why was that? And I think it's the maybe the financial situation, the account, and kind of control element as well. Whilst you're actually in a single state, your control element is less. But when you're in a married state, the control element increases, and one person will try to control or change the other person. And when you're trying to do that, either they'll mold into that concept, or they're changed together, or they resist it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But if they're already dealing with financial things before the marriage, sometimes what happens when I had a couple recently, they were living together till 5 years.
And this is white couple or Asian couples?
It was a mixed couple.
Mixed race, okay.
Mixed race, yeah. So then they got married, but then while they were living together, they were both sort of doing things for each other. Yeah,
caring, showing.
Doing stuff, going out. But once they got married, the pressure wasn't there, so they became quite laid back.
Yeah.
And there was no pressure. There was no pressure there anymore. So there was no loving, no commitment, no expectation, and it was just like, we can't live together anymore, the marriage. So it's just what happens. You create that situation, don't you?
It's like sometimes people talk about, you become part of the furniture.
Yes.
People
like that,
just sort of kind of accept you as, you're there. But there's no desire to want to spend time together, or it sort of fizzles out. But then I think it's very, very important that communications and having joint activities, or going places together, or actually making someone feels special. And I think that's what I personally feel. Many ladies have said that once you kind of caught, they feel I'm in a trap.
Yeah.
Once you're kind of caught in a trap, then they think you're just there. And then you're more like, oh, can you get me this and can you get me that? And before you know it, they see themselves as a slave. And I'm thinking, why do you use that word? I mean, that's a very strong word to use, isn't it?
It's a very strong word, yeah. I mean,
and if somebody feels it,
yeah,
they must,
and
if somebody feels, I
they
feel like
feel-
a slave in this relationship.
But you see, this is the thing. I'm divorced. I'll be honest. I've got kids. For me, even my family and stuff like that. My mum, for example, she's behind me 100%, and she knows that from now on, whether you want to get married or not, it's up to you. And now, looking from my point of view, it's just a piece of paper. I know that's not the Sikh thing to say, or other people are going to call in and start complaining. For people that maybe haven't been married, yeah, they'll say that, get excited about it, and what have you, spend your money on a big wedding and watch everyone get drunk.
But within the Sikh community, it is said the marriages are written in heaven and performed on earth. And if you take that concept,
written in hell, then what you going to do? The two different things are completely separate. Yeah, what you can do then? You marry the devil.
Yeah.
How are you going to get through that?
The thing is, I think, obviously you didn't marry the devil because the person you feel that individual has turned into a devil.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about generally. Like you could think.
Generally, if you feel, because once things go
because
bad.
an arranged marriage is completely different. You don't really know what that person is like until years on.
Yeah.
And the English community, I say normal community because we're not normal.
I think
we're different from that.
Yeah, sometimes it's because the youngsters are educated, they are brought up in this country. Yeah, the expectations are completely different at this stage, I feel.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not like our generation where you sort of you compromise and things like
you're
that.
more flexible and
you're more flexible. At present, it's this way or this way. There is little
it's
way
kind of
to
black and
maneuver.
white.
It's
There
black
seems
and
to be
white.
no grey area where you can work on or develop that or build the relationship. Because one of the thing is, it takes a long time to build a relationship, but it takes only a second to break it. And I think that's the important thing, that people, you can break it within seconds and that's it. I've decided I'm not going to be, but the consequences of that action is it's very it can have multiple negative impacts in the future as well for all parties, not just one party. Yeah. So one of the things, coming back to what relates, I mean, I know that you actually deal with counselling of Asian community and that both male and female. Generally speaking, then, what sort of issues do they come with? Do they sort of say, we're having this issue, we would like to work on it? Or do they say, well, I think I've had enough, I think I just want to walk out, right? Somebody told me I need to come and talk to you. What sort of things come out? What are they saying about each other?
I mean, there are lots of issues that come up, There are different things. Some of the issues are can't live with extended family.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest one with our Asian culture,
Okay.
The second one is there been extramarital relationship? I mean, they want to come to terms with it, but how do you accept it? There is that acceptance factor there. Thirdly, there's alcohol abuse sometimes. So there's sometimes the partner is drinking, and how do you work with that? Sometimes
and that's from a woman's perspective?
That's from men or women. Even women drink these days.
Okay, all right, okay.
Women drink as well.
Okay, so those things can happen from a male perspective as well.
For example, I'll say the extended family thing. That'd probably be a woman that would say that she's having that issue living in the extended family. But then, would you, as a counsellor, say to like my parents said, that don't live with us, live on your own, because obviously it's going to bring that extra pressure anyway. So if you live on your own, you've got your own house, that's up to you sort of to try and make it work without any extra pressure. And what, as a counsellor, would you be saying that? Because obviously you'll have the boy. You could have a boy that says, no, I'm staying with my mum and dad, I don't care about her. So from your idea, if you've got someone like that saying, I want to stay with mum and dad, I don't care about her, my wife, how would you say that? Would you suggest that maybe it is best if you want to save your marriage too?
Yeah, it is like, you know what, I would say let's explore it. Let's see, let's put everything on the table. What are your views? What were you expecting from this marriage? Were they expecting to stay together? Were they expecting to live separately? What has changed? So what are the factors, and if they want to make the marriage work,
See, most
They
women,
move
most
on.
girls will always say when they first meet, or especially the arranged marriage, I want to live with the in-laws. They'll always say that 100% because they know they look like goody two-shoes. But then, what is obviously it's going to be later on that they'll find that they've got problems and conflicts that they might have had in their own house that they've brought into this house as well, into the new married home. From your point of view, how can you persuade that boy to say, okay, you're going to have to either choose your family now?
I don't think it's
Because
your role to
no,
persuade.
It's not
Your role.
that
You just give
just-
the options around.
The thing is,
It's-
it's the individual's responsibility, and I think the key thing is that the married couple need to take that responsibility and not blame others, not
Yeah.
blame the family, not
Yes.
blame the extended family,
Yeah.
because it comes to the core, right? If you guys can't get on, the husband and wife, for whatever reason, and you're not able to sit down and have a conversation around it,
Yeah.
because I think a majority of the time it's the communication breakdown.
It is a communication, and I mean, it's counseling is not an advice giving.
No.
Yeah. I tell that
It's attitude as well, isn't
it's
it?
an awareness, yeah. It's awareness. What's happening? What's going wrong? What can we do? What can be fixed?
Yeah.
How do we move on? And what are our options?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And-
this is what counseling is. It's
Yeah,
awareness.
coming from the Sikh angle, when you actually have the four lama, you take your vows and you are committed to them, and in those vows, you know, there are actually three people in that marriage, and people say, well, what do you mean three people? Because you actually have yourself, the husband, the wife, and Guruji. Yeah, God, the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Yeah, so that you have actually made a commitment with Guruji that this is how, because it's actually with God that you make this commitment that you will make this marriage work, and these are the things I will do. I will respect my wife. I will not have extra relationships, etc. I will be responsible, and this is both parties. Yeah. However, when it comes to quarreling, you forget that. You know, if we like you said, oh, marriage is we say made in heaven and heaven on earth, but you took a different stance, which is okay. But I think what I would be saying to Jacinda was, what was it that attracted you to your wife when you first saw her, first met her? Because you actually got married, so things were different. And sometimes I think you really need to revisit what was it about her that you thought, wow, this is really the person for me to live the rest of my life with and die, etc. Right? And what changed? And how did that come about? Because it might have crept up on you too quick for you to even recognize. And it's no good, and I'm going to say this, it's no good blaming.
Yeah.
Right, her attitude was that she's not getting on with my parents, right? Well, what did you do about that? How did you deal with it? You know, can see. So you've got to actually look at
I'm not talking about my case individually.
No, but I'm deliberately using you as a thing. But the thing is, I think it is about that, because sometimes people sort of say, well, oh, meri roti nahi lai, you know.
Well, I make my own food. I never asked for roti and stuff like that.
It's not that. It's like. Yeah,
but you know, like I'm saying, the thing with marriages is you've got to think about arranged marriage and stuff like that, and love marriages.
Definitely.
The whole point of it, you shouldn't be trying to be something that you're not. You've got to be happy in yourself.
But one of the things what I'm trying, it's not about having a dig at you. It's about sort of saying, well, what was it about that first relationship that you thought, well, this is the person for me, I'm going to marry them and I'm going to live with them the rest of their life. Because things change.
Yeah, coming back to that, I would say that, okay, with counseling, when you go for marriage counseling, they would say, okay, that's exactly what you said. What did you attract? How would you work with that? What are the good things? What attracted you to each other? Can we bring that back in the marriage? What was sort of
so you
can you do date nights again? Can you bring that romance back in the marriage? No, date nights are very, very important. Yeah. So
we have other people.
No, with the
partner. That's not exciting, is it?
No, with the partner, bring the romance back in. Yeah. So sometimes once the people get married, they forget about the romance side of it. So life takes the lead. Yeah. Sort of, it's like, we need to do this. The children come, everything. So
I think
they
are like, I mean, one of the things what we're saying, that reconciliation in a relationship is good if you can actually work on it. But there are situations where you're saying that things won't work out and they've gone from worse too bad,
Especially
and
if you've got
and if you find that it's having a very negative impact on your mental health or their mental health,
And
because you're not
children.
really good for each other,
Children is
and,
most
and,
Children
and
are
things
most
like
important,
then you
yeah.
do need to
Yeah.
think.
And if
but,
they see that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
And-
then grounds for divorces are, similar to what they say, that there are certain grounds for divorce which people will explore.
Yeah.
But where we're trying to, from the Sikh community, we're trying to say if you can actually work it out, they would like you to work it
Oh
out.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
saying everybody get divorced.
Yeah.
Divorce it's the worst thing you could ever do,
That's
really.
true.
'cause
Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
It's a
true.
financial burden, it's the emotional burden. You've got to be really strong to get through
Yeah.
it.
It
'Cause I know a
is-
lot of people just break down.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, especially if you've got kids involved. You've
Yeah.
got your access,
It
and you
is
want
the
more access.
last option.
And, and the kids.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say on you're right about counselling and stuff like that, and getting help together.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
So trying to get the counselling, you're finding people are coming into your doors and stuff like that. So because I'm trying to say in Punjabi as well, another because you've got uncle and aunties here that got their kids that are all having problems. They're thinking this person's like this, he ain't going to change and stuff like that. How would you say that to get the first step to get your kids to say, please try and find these avenues of Asian people that can help your Asian specialized counselling services,
Yeah.
and what can you bring to their children, their sons or their daughters to help them?
So firstly, I would say that counseling helps more than talking to a family member, okay? Because this is somebody who is completely not in your life, yeah?
It's impartial.
So, impartial. So it's like you go to the boy's family, the people will say he's always right. The girl's family, she's always right. So the advice they both are getting is that you should not be doing this because he's done this. So it is not the right advice. So when you go for a counselor who's an impartial person who would sit with you, and also the other thing that's just come to me, if you have a third person sitting in the room, you can communicate. You can ask each other exactly what you need to talk about. At home, this becomes a row. Yeah, you become angry, you start shouting, it could become violent. But when you are in a confined, safe space where there's a third person sitting as well, you could start talking about, this is what you did, this is how I feel, so how can I change that, or how can you change that? So there's so many options there. It's all about communication, and the communication is built when you are sitting in a safe place. And I feel counseling is a safe place where you can sit together and start talking.
Yep.
And I mean, like the question you asked me, where do you find these people, yeah,
Yeah.
who could help? I mean, there are so many organizations out there that help.
Would it be on the internet? What would you search
You would
for?
go on,
Yes.
you just go on even if you want to go on a counseling directory, yeah, there are loads of counselors there
Yep.
who would be there. There are charity
I
organizations.
know Relate. I've heard of Relate. That are in it.
Relate is
Yeah.
there. There's Birmingham Counselling Service. There is Asian Family Counselling Service. There are loads of places out there. There is Muslim Counselling Service, known as Latif.
So
there's
it's focused
many-
counselling.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing for it is that if you, for instance, can't speak English, there's Asian counselling services, so you don't need to speak English in order to have a conversation.
Do you ever get counselling services? You got the couple coming in that their parents would want to come in as well, or
You can have family counselling.
do you ever find that situation?
Yeah.
Oh my! And what does that always? I bet that's like a fight.
No,
Yeah.
it's because
I don't
it's
think
not a
it's a-
fight. Because again, like I said, it's like sitting together
Yep.
in a safe place, and
Okay.
everybody. So it's like communicating when you say, okay, when he says that, how do you feel? And it's like talking about the feelings, what is happening to each member of the family.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we are Asians culturally. We are all integrated. It's a big family
Yeah.
thing. It's not the two people in a
yeah,
marriage.
Yeah, in coming to counselling, I think the intention is positive.
Yes.
So there is a positive intention to try and resolve whatever the issues are.
Yeah.
That's the stage when you will go to counselling, but the majority of the time, people won't go to counselling. Yeah, they will say, "I'm not interested," or they think it's gone too far.
Yeah, there is a
how
stigma
counselling going
attached.
to help? So I think this is my understanding that the majority of the people that come to you, they have positive intention to
Yes.
resolve things, to iron out things and issues, and really have a fresh start to their relationship. Or work on some of the issues that are coming up.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of something Sometimes when they go for mediation or divorce, so they'll say, you need to go for counseling, okay? And sometimes they leave it as a last resort, which I say, don't leave it as a last resort.
Yeah.
Because when everything is so down, then you can't fix it.
No.
So broken, yeah? So when you start seeing little cracks,
Yep.
that's when you need to access counseling. Don't leave it as the last resort. If you feel that we are struggling, there's no communication, we can't talk, there is anger there, few people are sort of, frustrated, nobody's talking to each other, and the negativities in the relationship.
Yeah, one of the data highlighted were there that in marriages there are actually something like 30% of individuals or husband and wife living together, but they don't speak to each other. No.
In marriages, 30%.
Yes, and that was quite surprising. And what do you want to say on that? Because that's really
That sounds like
shocking.
a good marriage.
But 30% living together, so obviously they still think that for bigger, wider reasons, they'll stay together
children,
in the
normally they'll
same
say, yeah.
household, and yet they won't speak to each other. No, I think that would be a very uncomfortable environment to live in.
It would be very uncomfortable, but then
30%.
But if it's their choice, you can't do anything about it. It might be just a simpler way
Is
of
that something
managing
that happens
life.
in the Asian community?
It does, yes.
Can I ask,
It
is that
does,
the reason, because obviously you're saying you would do affairs, marital affairs, extramarital affairs. Is that something that you'll find, is it both ways as well? You're seeing more men coming in with the committed affair or the women that commit the affair? I presume that in our community, the Asian, if the woman commits the affair, they'll probably say that's it, it's finished, and they probably won't come into counselling. How are you finding the percentages of that? Who's actually doing the affair, the man or the woman in your eyes?
I think at this stage, in this day and age, it is equal here.
Really?
There are
Okay.
quite a few. It's because we are quite, people are liberated.
And the man's actually
they're
coming in
both
and saying...
working. It's not like before that the man used to work and the women would,
And the man will come in saying, my wife's had an affair. And he'll say, what do I do about it?
Yeah.
And is that the sort of thing, and how do I forgive her? Is that what he's asking for?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so one of them, man or wife, they've had an affair, okay? But then moving forward with that, because the trust is broken, the respect is gone, okay? But you want to live together, you want to love each other, and you do love each other. But then, how do you move forward?
But then what would make that person stop having the affair? If they've done it once, they might want to do it again and again.
I mean, that's the risk that the other person takes, isn't it? Yeah, but it depends on what the consequences have been, what has the cost of that affair been. Sometimes people do that, but they don't see the consequences or what it's going to cost them. So they've done that, and if the consequences are it's so high that they wouldn't do it again. But then they say, okay, we'll forgive, let's live together. But then how can one each other...
From a Sikh perspective, I'll ask you as well, because obviously you're more... Someone's had an affair between a marriage. Everyone's found out about it in the community. It's in the Gurdwaras, it's in the papers, everywhere like that. Everyone knows about it, the community. What would you say to someone that is in that relationship? Would you say to them, you need to think about finishing it now because you can't forgive them, or would you say that, look, you'll have to try and work it out?
I would actually say what was behind it. Because majority of the time, sometimes an individual might not be getting the attention they need, or the communication isn't there, the love isn't there, they've been taken for granted. And then somebody else out there pays attention to them, give them that respect, give them that attention, give them that love which is authentic, and that's how things happen. And just to blame, we cannot actually blame people because these things do happen. Now, I'm not sort of. Although I do make comments about what the Sikhi said, right, and what you shouldn't really, one of the things they say that once you're married, your marriage is made in heaven, you really need to run that course. You shouldn't be really looking for extra relationships with any other people, or of a husband and wife relationship. It's only with husband and wife. And it also says if you don't complete that course, you have to do it in your next life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you think about it in that sense, it's a kind of conditioning to make things work.
Yeah.
Right? You're saying that if somebody's had a relationship, now for me, who am I to damn them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't damn them because I don't know their circumstances. Yeah, and to say, one of the things I do find that, generally speaking, men will have extra affair out of marriage. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I've actually seen that. Yeah.
That's Punjabi culture. They've had a few glassier. They'll do what they want.
The women, maybe less women. I don't know. But Mina was saying that might be more women
Yeah,
now,
50-50,
whatever.
yeah.
And the freedom. But the thing is, one of the things that I find, I know a couple of ladies who the guy openly went out with other women.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she just observed her husband having affairs with other women. We're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Sikh guy. Yeah, so how does she feel?
But what was her generation? Don't mind. What's the age sort of range?
Elderly.
50s or 60s or?
I have no idea. I think it's probably 50, 60s. But can you see? And then somebody will turn around, and this is a scenario. People say, oh, because she's been married for 40 years, right? And she's had children, got her children married off, and now she's divorcing her husband.
Yeah.
So because they don't know the backdrop
Yeah,
of what's
just
been
say it's a
going
bad
on
person.
over the time, so they're making a judgment of this woman who decided she's going to divorce her husband, and she's 60 or 70.
But she waited. She did what in
She
her
waited.
eyes.
She
waited.
waited.
She waited till they got kids, got
waited,
married.
yeah.
I mean, this is not just one lady. There's many a lady who's done that, and they actually fulfill their commitment of their marriage vows as well.
Yep.
Yeah, but they've come to a point and they're saying, well, I've done everything for everybody else.
Yes.
Now it's my time.
And
And I mean, what do you think? I mean, you can see. So in a way, that person being punished or whatever through life, and they gave everything up. But I have actually seen. I'm sorry, and I'm going to say this, but I have seen men who have got women at home who are 9 months pregnant, and they're going out with 18-year-old girls. Yeah, it makes you sick. But I don't know whether you're supposed to be saying this on Sangat TV.
No, you can say what you want. It's a live show. Oh yeah, so you can dial in. It's 0121 516 2828 and
to
have
me,
your contribution as well.
it is absolutely disgusting. Yeah. And you can say, then they'll give the image that we are pure and all this rubbish. Well, I'm sorry. One of the things that coming back to relate, one of the key highest reason for divorces both in Asian marriages and English marriages is extra marital
Yeah, it is,
relationships. And this is what they call Gam Krodh, Gam is the sin that we see in Sikhism. It's sexual desires of more people than your partner.
Yep.
And this is what is actually the highest reason given by Relate to the cause for divorce. Yeah,
It
and that
is,
could be
yes.
a man, it could be a woman. We're not saying what it is. The next one is there's a lack of total commitment to the marriage.
Yeah.
People are not really prepared before they go into a marriage. They don't know that things do change when you get married. You can't still go out drinking with your mates. You have to spend some time with your wife, because that's the other. And the other one is the relationship between the mother and the daughter-in-law. Not in that.
Yeah.
No, the man's relationship with the wife and the mother-in-law. Yeah, where does he sit? He sits in the middle. It's
Yeah.
very difficult, isn't it? So those, and the other one was excessive arguments.
yeah.
A majority of them are around finance. If the girl spends too much money because
Yeah.
she's so used to
You see,
earning
then that
money.
could be. You could say that's what you're hearing, but from
No,
other
this is actually relates analysis
Yeah.
of divorces that are going ahead, the reasons for the divorce. They actually put these are the
Yeah,
reasons.
but that might be the English phrase. For other people's, it could be like we talk about elderly and stuff like that, and other family issues. Wherever one person is more family oriented, they've got a family that they get on with and they do love, and they'll see often. And you've got another side who doesn't have a family and stuff like that. It's the clashes as well that you're going to get from that front, that you've got to try to organise and counselling. But I understand what you're saying about the extramarital affairs and stuff like that being the highest one. I didn't know that would be the highest one in the Asian community.
Okay.
And how are you finding? Do you think that's the highest one that you're seeing problems coming in for counselling?
It is. I don't think it's the highest one for me.
Yep.
It doesn't come up. There are loads of other things that, like it's
Family and stuff like that.
family, communication, expectations.
Yep.
I think expectations is the highest one.
They
Yeah,
expected
yeah.
something when you
It's-
say.
it-
And
Yeah,
there's
that's the whole
difference.
sort of thing when you get
It's-
married. They're going to say, "Oh, this bunda's got this job. He's done a
Yeah.
degree. He's got a job. He's on 60, 70,000 pounds a year. He's going to give you Mercedes. He's going to give you this and that."
Expectations.
And
yeah.
And he
then
ends up giving you
when you
nothing. But then
Yeah.
that's the sort of.
He's unemployed or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, and even little expectations, not even those big ones, like, who's going to do this in the house, who's going to do that. It starts from little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just
Compounds.
becomes,
Yeah.
And if there is no communication, no sort of talking about it, we'll compromise. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Or it's all about, it's taking the ownership. It is your marriage.
Yeah.
You own it. Make it work. Yeah. So
And that's the thing about relationships is that when we're focusing at the moment about a relationship between a husband and a wife, but then there's these relationships with your mother, your mother-in-law, and things
Yeah.
like that.
Well, it looks like we've got a call coming today. Hello and welcome to Sangat TV. How can we help you? Satika?
Hello.
Hello?
No.
Hello. Hi. I was just watching the show, and I'm quite interested in obviously the topic that you're discussing at the moment.
Sure. Thanks for calling in. It's really good that we get the input from the viewer because it's your show. So yeah, please go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm just checking. Am I live on?
Yeah, you're live. Yeah, you're live. It's
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So just going back to the conversation that you're having at the moment about how. And within our culture, the males and the females both have affairs.
yeah.
I mean, I've kind of experienced that kind of same sort of thing, where not necessarily either couple are married, but it's just, I think it's quite, it is a shameful thing, unfortunately, and I think a lot of people nowadays are brushing it under the carpet, and I think it's definitely a topic that needs to be discussed because it's causing, I think, for especially women within the Sikh community a lot of sort of mental health problems.
Okay, so are you from the perspective then you're saying that the husband will be having affairs out? Are you coming from the perspective that if your husband had an affair, that you would say it's over completely and tell his family and explain it, or would you actually go to counselling? Do you reckon?
I think I would say probably a 70%, on a 70% scale. I think women tend to kind of accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't even talk
it's
about
one of
it
those
or anything
things
like that?
Women
Yeah.
would tend to, avoid argument and avoid any confrontation purely because, especially when it's kind of an arranged marriage or, even if it is a love marriage, the expectations are there and parents and peers are kind of putting that pressure on you, and you're unable to speak up to say, well, this is what my husband's doing, or, and if you are looking to settle down with that person, your hopes are up high, so you don't really want to rock the boat, so you kind of go with it.
But would you tell your husband that I know you're having an affair, or would you just keep that under the carpet and not say?
I think from a female perspective, again, I think it would be, I think that where, the women would kind of talk about it with the husband probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's difficult. It depends on what kind of relationship that they have, and I think when it comes to nowadays, there's a lot of domestic abuse as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think with that, the woman's not able to say anything, to be honest. And I think vice versa, really. I don't know from a male perspective, obviously. I don't know, how much abuse the male would get if their wife was to be having an affair.
I think
or
the
something like that.
affair thing, like I was asking, I didn't think the affairs Asian girls did. I don't know, but I'm being naive. Would do that. I think with the Asian girls, I don't know whether there was an article where I don't know whether you think this is right. Whether you think you're fighting for your freedom before you are married, that when you actually get married, you're still fighting for your freedom, and that fight is with your husband.
Absolutely. I mean, for me,
Yes.
I think when I was probably my teens, my parents would say, anything that you wanted to do, sort of after your education, like cut your hair or wear certain clothes or go out and go to different countries or whatever it is, do that with your husband. And then you realise when you are married, you can't do any of it. You know,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
stuck in a kitchen and you're constantly trying to make things work with your husband.
Yeah, see, I think every family is different. I used to cook. I used to do everything myself, independent, because I was born independent. You know, I did all
Yeah.
that myself. My parents always told me to.
I think
to do
it's
that, but-
interesting that the viewer is actually saying that, because there is kind of, the parents will kind of put a ruling around the young girl and say, we don't want you to.
Sorry,
it's different.
are you still on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Can I ask you what your age group is, if you don't mind me asking, so we can see the generations of? Because obviously I'm 41, but I would
Yeah,
probably.
I'm kind of late 30s,
Okay.
coming into my 40s. So, you know, I've kind of experienced it myself. So I know, and I know a lot of other females that have been through similar sort of things. And unfortunately, a lot of it, girls from India even that have come into the UK and they've experienced that kind of thing. And unfortunately, you know, they're having to
They
struggle
have
with
to
their
accept
lives
that.
to try and, you know, put together pieces
But can
after they've been through that kind of thing.
Can I ask you, because I see it myself, I'll be honest with you, isn't it not Punjabi culture that the guys will, I know they'll go out on the drinks and they will sleep around where they're out to the clubs or whatever, and they'll just say that's one of the things, you know.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
becoming,
I know you're saying it's one of the
becoming
things, but that is what I'm seeing.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be happening
Shouldn't be happening.
for a start.
But
But
do
it
you
probably
think
is.
But do you think, I'm going to ask
Yeah.
Kate, do you think that's the reason with our cultures like that, for an English person, they wouldn't need to do that because they've not been sheltered all
To be
their life?
honest, Roger, I think what it is, it's very important nowadays, especially for the younger generation, to understand that obviously this is where Sikhi comes in, because that is where your stability for especially for a female and for a male as well, and it grounds you as an individual,
Yeah.
and it makes you understand a lot of all the emotions that you're feeling, and everything else that you're going through. That, to be honest, none of it really matters.
Yeah.
And I think the focus is mainly for both the female and the male is to kind of go towards Guru Granth Sahib, and have that understanding about that. And I think that's what everybody should be, aiming for at the moment. And even though you have the problems within your relationship, if you have Gurbani within your, within your life, you are able to work things through. I believe, that brings you through the hardest times anybody could go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is good, but it's just if
That's
one
good.
person, like you're saying, if you're like that and you find your husband's not like that,
Yes.
then
it's
it ain't
got
gonna
to be-
happen, because that you can be reading as much Barney as you want in your life.
Yeah,
But if he's going
that's
out on the
true,
piss
but-
on the beers, and he's having
I think
affairs,
Yeah.
I think George, the viewer is saying is really that you find your strength
yeah.
Yeah.
in the Gurbani, and it actually
Yeah.
helps you to find solutions, and it actually
definitely, yeah.
And one of the things that we're talking about was the preparation of food the other day, and you can put good will into that food,
Absolutely.
Okay.
and things like that. So those are quite valid points.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there will be times when it doesn't work to the level you want it to.
Okay. Well,
No, and I think it's a struggle when either the female or the male isn't into Gurbani, and I think that's when they need somebody, maybe an elder or brother or sister, just to kind of sit them down and trying to talk them through the problems as well. It really helps to kind of bring things to the surface so they can deal with it.
So,
Yeah.
so would it be something like having a
Well,
counselling service
thanks,
in
sorry.
the gurdwaras or something?
yeah, you could do counselling.
Yes,
There would
definitely.
be. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for your call. You got any more
Thank you.
any more viewpoints to just put across quickly the next few seconds?
I think just obviously focus on being positive for both female and male, and trying to work things together. And I think obviously I think this is very important. But when you go into a marriage, you need to understand what the vows are, and then
Yeah.
what the vows that you've taken, each one has taken, and you need to understand them.
Yeah.
And I think follow that through your marriage, really.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying. What I would say as well to the views as well, but if you're seeing abuse, like you were saying, domestic abuse and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
that shouldn't be
unacceptable. And there's no
tolerated.
point talking about Barney
Yes,
there.
yeah.
The only thing you need to talk about there is the police and other services,
Yeah,
and to
I
get
mean,
them involved.
You need professional
And you should
help,
need
obviously.
professional help, and you do need the police to help you on that front. There's no point.
Not
speaking-
necessarily the police. I think
There's-
I think what is important there is relationship counselling.
Yes.
Initially.
But even if there's domestic abuse involved and you're being hit,
Yeah, but there are a lot of people out there that could help you. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be.
I think it's
there is
the
women's aid,
frequency.
there is people,
Yeah.
you should reach out. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
sort of sitting there
Yeah.
taking it, you should reach out. There are a lot of organizations out there that can help you.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
it's
from my
just-
personal view, I think if somebody
Okay, sorry, we're gonna have to
let
end
you
the
go.
call now. Thanks a lot for
No,
your
it's
calling
fine.
in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Bye.
for that call. Thank you.
In terms of the abuse in any marriage, the abuse.
Oh,
should
we've
be
got
there.
another phone call from. Hello, welcome to Sangat TV. Hello, you're live on
Hello?
Sangat TV. Hello.
Hello, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪਾਣਾ ਜੀ
ਮੈਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਣਾ ਮੈਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈਆਂ ਦੇਣੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਇਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਗੁੱਡ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ
Oh, thank you very much.
ਧੰਨਵਾਦ
Thank you,
ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਖਿਆਲ ਆ ਇਦਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਸੋਸਾਇਟੀ ਤੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਆ
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕੀ ਕਾਪੇ ਦੇ ਨੀਚੇ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਜੀ,
ਰਾਸ਼ਟਰੀ
ਜੀ।
ਕੀ ਕਹੋਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਕੀ ਕਹੋਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਕੀ ਕਹੋਗੀ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਤੇ ਪਰ ਇਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਗੁੱਡ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੈ ਬਸ ਕੰਗ੍ਰੈਚੁਲੇਟ ਯੂ
Thank you very much. ਇਹਦਾ ਤਾਂ
ਧੰਨਵਾਦ
ਕਰਨਾ
ਜੀ।
ਸੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਨਿਊ
Thank you.
ਸ਼ੋ ਬਣਾ ਲਿਆ ਨਾ Thank you ਤੇਰਾ call. Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good that people are watching and getting in. Like I'm saying, it's your show, so you know we can talk whatever we want about the issues, but we obviously need you to come and talk, and so that other viewers can listen and can understand that and can relate with your issues and with what you're saying as well. In confidentiality, we won't ask for your surname, your name.
I think yeah, there will be people out there who are suffering in silence, and I think if they did want some guidance, it's best to ring Sangat TV, and we can actually, channel them to the right
To the
place.
counsellors, yeah, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's right. So just like you were saying about Barney and stuff like that, helping you and stuff like that. But so domestic abuse we just talked about, and I think okay. So I said to him that you should go straight to police.
Yeah.
From your point of view, you were saying that. Because I've got a daughter, I would say to her first of all, and I don't care about what other communities say, what other people say. I don't care.
Yeah.
It would be straight to go to the police. If someone's going to hit you or lay a hand on you,
Yeah.
you have to go there first of
Oh,
all.
definitely. You need to, if somebody hits you, if it's violence, you need to address it straight away. You wouldn't just
Yeah,
stay in there,
yeah.
yeah? You don't have to, because there's a lot of help out there.
Yeah.
But I would say before even it gets to that stage,
Yeah.
you
When
should
you think he's
something
getting
about it.
aggressive.
something is going wrong.
Yeah.
Domestic violence is not only
Oh yeah, sorry, not
when
domestic. That's physical violence, Jill
yeah,
said.
but I don't think it's only physical violence. When you think there is an emotional violence going on, emotional abuse
mental
going
abuse.
on,
Yeah.
it's a mental abuse, you need to address it. And
Yeah.
there are people out there, if you need help, you need to know what your contacts are, who are your support, where to go.
Yep.
And in this country, there is so much help out there.
I think, yeah, even in Punjabi, and we Hege organisations help kind of, but like up at Hege, seekhelpline.com.
Yeah.
Here we domestic violence, got the physical abuse, mental abuse, and there's Hege kitte jaase internet telephone check kacha.
Yeah.
Call them. It's confidential. They'll help you through. And the whole point of organisations like Sikh Helpline, it's not just for the Sikhs; it's for everybody. So if you're a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, whatever, you can call in with your issues.
I think the key thing I would say is if you're going through difficulties, you must try and work it out, because going through divorce isn't an easy option.
Yep.
But I think it needs to be respect for each other,
Yes.
and understanding, and keeping the communications open all the time.
I think before we go, we've only got one
Thank
more
you
minute
for that.
left.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give you this. I don't know if you can see this in, but we've got a thing called Run with Sangat. It's Sunday the 15th of July, like you were saying that married couples and families could do this together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to do together.
So it's a family event, Sunday 15th of July at 10 a.m. at Handsworth Park. It's called Run with Sangat. You can go on runwithsangat.org and you can register online. I think there's a £15 registration fee, but that covers all your food, the toilets, all the stewardship and everything like that. And obviously it's up to you whether you want to register for a charity and register for your, it's good that if you register for a charity, whether it's preferably, a UK charity or international charity, but at least you're doing it for something, and it's a great family event for everyone. What I'd just like to say, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching Everyday Matters, and I hope to see you next week, and please dial in and make the show. Thank you and goodbye.